for being so patient with us. Obviously, this came together in just a few days. We got the ruling on Wednesday. We're all here today. So thanks for being gentle and kind with us as we work through some of the logistics. We are going to now go into a panel discussion, and these are our lovely panelists. I'm going to let them all introduce themselves. And then I've got your questions here. We won't be able to get to all of them. Some of them I'm going to work into the already existing questions. So if I don't get to your question, it's likely that it is too specific for us to talk broadly about it. So if that is the case, I would invite you to connect with the ACLU over email, and we can probably chat a little bit more there. Okay? All right. I'm going to have all of our lovely panelists introduce themselves. Nixon, we'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Nixon Matthews. I am the chair of the Idaho Democratic Queer Caucus. Our role is to make sure our Democrats are held accountable to the needs of our community, and that's really what we're focusing on, and supporting our community from a political standpoint.
Be loud.
I'm Tacoma. I go by they, them. I've been a local entertainer, drag entertainer, artist for about 2 years now. I've also had a little helping with Treasure Valley Trans Defense Fund. Go look them up. I'd love to talk with our community a little bit and kind of connect with how we're all feeling.
I'm Emily Jackson Etney, she, her pronouns, just a local volunteer activist, currently on the board of Planned Parenthood Alliance Advocates, the C4 board, and then also the board of ACLU Idaho. So I'm glad to see everybody here and participating, and looking forward to your questions.
I'm Preston Pace. I use they, him pronouns. I am co-founder of transjoyboise with Bonnie Violet there. And we just try to create opportunities for the community to come together and support each other and raise awareness and kind of fight all the anti-trans legislation that's going on right now.
And I'm Jenna. I introduced myself earlier. She, they pronouns. I work for the ACLU of Idaho. I work specifically in LGBTQ justice. And so a lot of you know me or have seen me. I'll be moderating this panel, so I'm not going to answer any of the questions, actually. All these folks get to do the hard stuff. Our first question's for Nixon, so I'll let them finish what they're doing.
All right. We'll see if this works. Can you hear anything? Is this any better?
Don't sound like it's on.
Were you okay hearing us? Can everybody hear us before?
Yes.
Yeah. It's mediocre? Okay.
Yeah, please project. Yeah.
Power on.
That's
Bluetooth pairing.
All right. Is this a little better? Okay.
I think mine made a difference, yeah.
Okay, first question, which is the reason we are all here today. Nixon, this one's for you. What just happened with the Supreme Court decision, and how does it connect to Idaho and Idaho's HB 71 that was passed in 2023?
All right, so I'm going to break this down a little bit. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about HB 71, which is Idaho's gender-affirming care ban that passed in 2023, but then went into effect in 2024. This is very similar to the Tennessee gender-affirming care ban, and that's what Skirmetti was about. This was a Supreme Court case that a decision just came down on. This is why we're all here together today. And what the Supreme Court was considering was the constitutionality of gender-affirming care bans against trans youth. And so the Supreme Court made the decision, they sent out a decision saying that it is constitutional to have gender-affirming care bans for trans youth. Now, why it's important to recognize Idaho and what happened here versus what just came out from the Supreme Court is that we have already had a ban in place in the state of Idaho. So what is changing for us isn't necessarily much, other than the fact that now it has been deemed unconstitutional, which makes it harder for us to fight in the courts on issues like this. But we are going to continue doing the work that we do, and there's a benefit here of benefit's a weird word to say. We have been fighting this since 2024. We've been aware of it since 2023. There's a lot of organizations that have come together to take care of trans youth in this state and to back each other up and to fight against this. And so in that way, we're prepared. So I just wanted to note that there's that difference. We've got the Idaho case that has been in effect since 2024, and then there's Scrimeti that just came down, and so it doesn't really change much other than these assholes said, yep, we can go ahead and discriminate against trans youth, gender affirming care and trans youth. Did I cover that?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're gonna add on. I don't think this thing's working.
It is.
It is.
It's really close to your
not
mouth.
super loud.
Yeah, like
I'm not good at being on the mic. I've never done this before. Okay. We had a question from some of you that I'm going to swing over to Preston now. Preston, what can you tell us about this ruling? Like, what were the votes? What was the margin? I can help you if you want. And what was like kind of the basis behind it? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll answer it. I said I wasn't going to, but so it was a 6-3 split decision on party lines. So the conservative judges decided that the state bans could stay, and the liberal judges dissented. I think what we saw in this decision that was actually really unique is they, in their opinion, issued that it's actually rather narrow. And it's not like they even said in the ruling that it is not going to affect, like, for instance, the Supreme Court case Bostock that established that, you know, it's discrimination to fire somebody for being trans. So this ban is really narrow. The Supreme Court decision is really narrow. It applies to states that have bans for youth for gender affirming care on puberty blockers and hormones. The next question is actually.
Okay.
I gotta ask it. I'm bad at this. Does this mean gender affirming care is illegal everywhere for youth now?
No, absolutely not. So, like they both have said, Idaho is already really rough for the transgender community, and we already have had bans in place for transgender minors. So this isn't going to affect the states that don't have bans. So if you're thinking of like the blue states or the sanctuary states, those aren't going to be affected as of right now. But it does sort of remove the hope that we would be able to fight this and fight the ban that we have already in place here.
Perfect answer.
Let me make a quick point. Also, if you call the Planned Parenthood call center to schedule, it's the same number for like Oregon, Montana. So if you need to make an appointment, it's the same number, that 1-800-PLAN, and they can schedule it for you out of state.
Oh.
Insider info. All right, this next question, I'm gonna pass over to Emmy, and we will have Emmy and Preston both answer this one. How does this Supreme Court decision affect trans adults? And should trans adults be worried now about their access to healthcare? And I know I had like 5 people ask this question on these note cards, so.
I think we all know that trans healthcare, access to identity documents, access to public accommodations is under duress right now. And I believe that once our children, trans children, have gone through the punching bag, trans adults and trans elders are next. I can see it coming, and I don't know if there's a way that I can stop that, or anybody can stop it. We just have to do the best we can to endure and watch out for ourselves and for our siblings. You know, I truly think that this too will pass. I'm going to date myself, but I grew up in the McCarthy era with Eisenhower.
I don't believe it.
With the Nixon era, in the late 60s and 70s with the Reagan era in the 80s, with the George H.W. Bush in the 90s, and Anita Bryant, and with the George W. Bush. And now, have to endure the current cockwobble in the office. Number two, and I think that people should not give up, keep fighting, that this too will pass. I worry about trans health care, primarily for our adults and for our seniors, and what will happen. It's already happened with regards to Medicaid. I can see that with the so-called beautiful bill that Medicare is going to be hampered somewhat. I can see that, in Idaho, Idaho's not done with us yet, and so we just have to stay vigilant and be visible. You need to be visible. You need to live with dignity and honor, and who we are, and look out for your brothers and sisters.
I think it's really important to note that the Scrimeti decision does not affect adults. This is just for minors right now. But however, it does set a precedent that it is not unconstitutional to ban gender-affirming care at this point. And with how aggressive the legislative session was last year, I'm anticipating an extremely aggressive session this coming year. So this Scrimeti decision is basically saying if someone were to decide that they wanted to take to the Supreme Court this same thing but regarding adults, I think that we kind of can predict what their decision would be at this point. So I think, yes, I am worried about it. It's something that's very concerning to me. I think that it is something that everyone should be aware of and be concerned about as well. And I think that as a community, we need to take the time right now to rest and kind of prepare for the upcoming session, because it's going to be a fight, and we're all going to need to be there in whatever capacity we have. There's roles for everybody in this, but I absolutely believe that this is concerning and that we should be concerned. But as of right now, it does not affect adults.
Perfect. Thank you, Preston. Okay, how can parents, this next question we're going to let everybody answer. So my panelists, if you could maybe keep it to one thing and maybe like a 30-second answer, that would be best. How can parents, allies, loved ones, and caring professionals stand up and show support right now? So you first, and we'll go down the line.
I think the biggest thing is to really be informed of what is going on. There is a lot of information out there, and it's confusing and it's difficult. And I think when we don't understand what is happening, it feels really hard to take action and where we should take action. So be informed, and then find the organizations that exist and get involved with those organizations, whether that is your time or your money or your support, whatever that is. Find the organization that exists, that is doing this work, and say, what do you need from me? So that's what I would say.
I completely agree with what Nixon said. And also just support the people in your life that are trans or non-binary, because it's a really scary time, and just knowing that your friends and your family and your loved ones support you is so important right now. And be the voice amongst your peers, because my voice isn't going to carry the same weight around certain people that like the cis allies would be able to. If you are hearing people say these harmful things, and be there to challenge it, because they're going to listen to you. They're not going to listen to me. I'm just going to further the stereotype. And that sucks, but it's just the reality of it. So one thing that I always tell allies is challenge the things that you're hearing, because it's going to go a lot further than anything I can do. And that is helpful beyond words. And it might seem like something trivial, but it is huge. And we need that so much right now.
I really want to reiterate that I agree that education and staying informed. Not only that, but also being a witness, not really challenging, but definitely asking questions about trans people. That is one of the biggest ways that I've gotten support, was just having somebody to be there and listen to my experiences. Because we have a lot more in common just as humans, and I don't know why it's so hard for people to see that humanity in transness.
I can't add a whole lot to that other than parents of trans and gender non-binary kids, keep your babies close and be fierce in protecting them. For my adults and for my elders, be the witness to living a good life. Be visible. We didn't transition to immediately go back into the closet. We transitioned to live fully, honestly, in our true gender identity. And hopefully other people will respect that.
Thank you, everyone. This next one is also going to go to everybody, and we're going to go even shorter answer. How are you staying connected to joy?
For me, community, coming to these spaces, that is the thing that is actually making me joy. And my garden. Like, honestly, putting my hands in the dirt and like finding space for normalcy, whatever that is, things that just are things that bring you a little bit of joy, and continuing to make space. And it feels kind of impossible because there feels like 10 million things we could do, but that's important.
I've just been really trying to lean on the community right now and do events like this, and honestly I've been trying to channel all of this like rage into art, and that's really been helping me quite a bit. So yeah, even if it's not great art, it still feels pretty good. So
All art is great art.
Yes, I second that. I have definitely channeled a lot of my rage into my art on stage. The thing that brings me the most joy is seeing everybody turn out and be able to let me express myself freely on stage. That brings me so much joy, truly.
I think it's when I go home in the evening or the afternoon and I can cuddle with a dog who loves me unconditionally. I think that's one of the best things. I find that sometimes in my privacy, where I can reflect and rage at times, I think that's important to me. I think being active in whatever capacity you can within community, I think it's important. But mostly, I think it's just being visible and being a witness that you can live honestly.
Okay, I popped over here because my next question is for the two of you. What gives you strength right now? What or who is anchoring you?
The community gives me so much strength. I remember so many days in high school where I was completely alone and utterly confused on my identity and how I felt, but being able to connect to people who are willing to understand me really helps me realize just how connected we all are and just how much we have in common. I gotta say, my close friends and even more recently, my mom and dad have actually started to show support. And that really gives me encouragement and strength to keep moving every day.
Sometimes it's pretty hard to even get out of bed in the morning, but you know, that's what you have to do. Get up first thing in the morning and make your bed, and then continue with the day. Look for community, look for strength in others, and provide strength to others, and be involved. I find that my involvement in various organizations gives me purpose, gives me strength, and so I think that's pretty important.
Thank you. Okay, Preston, this one's coming to you. What would you say to someone in our community who feels like giving up?
Oh, geez. I think that right now we're all feeling very exhausted. When this all started happening, when it got worse, I guess, in November, we were all telling ourselves, like, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Yet I found myself sprinting the whole time. And I get so exhausted at times and it feels like it's insurmountable. Living in a world that doesn't feel like it was made for us is really sad, and it doesn't feel fair. But I think that, kind of like talking on what Tacoma was saying, we have a great community here, and some of the resources that Nixon has shared, we have resources and people to lean on. I know that, speaking, like, personally, I had horrible major depressive disorder that I thought was going to kill me one day, and I really leaned on going to therapy. My therapist is actually here right now, which is very exciting for me. Shout out to Dr. Wall's office. But I think that leaning on your community right now and going to the events where you're around like-minded people, because this world is trying to erase us, and we're not in it alone, okay? Like, I know that there are moments like at 3 a.m. where you feel like it would just be easier to check out, and I'm telling you that there are people that are here wanting to talk to you in those moments. And life is so beautiful outside of all of this bullshit that's happening right now. And just because we're stuck in Idaho and it's red and it feels like everyone's against us. We were just in Washington, D.C., and we're kind of leading the front on this right now. It doesn't feel like that, but Idaho is fighting harder than I would say the vast majority of the country. And I don't think it's going to be like this forever. And whatever happens, it's going to come out on the other end, and you need to be here for it. So whatever that takes for you to be here, reach out, like, get into art, get into whatever you need to do, we're here, and we want you to be here for it, because, like we've heard here already, like, it's not going to be like this forever, and we need you for whatever is going to come next.
You cannot give up. There are people that love you, that want you in their lives. You may not think so, but there are. Look for those people, reach out to them. They want to help. There is always help. You belong in this world, and we want you to share your truth with us. We want you to share your talents with us. We want you to be here with us. So you cannot give up. You can just continue.
Thank you. Okay. We have one more question, and we're just going to open this up for anybody who wants to answer this one. What do you want trans youth in our community here in Idaho to know?
So, as a recent youth, I just want to say that you can be tired, you can be angry, you can be bitter, you can be a little petty, but you still have to do it. You can do it complaining the whole way through, but you're gonna reach a day where you realize that you fought through probably the darkest moments in your life. I know that I did. And if I didn't wake up grumpy as shit, like, if I didn't do it angrily, if I didn't do it bitterly and allowed myself to feel all of my emotions, I would not be where I am today. So I guess my message for the youth is keep going. You might be alone, you might feel alone now, but if you just push through that and do anything that reaches out to you, you will find your community. So don't give up.
Yes.
Anybody else want to answer?
Such a quiet audience.
I don't have much to add to that, but I just want to say, like, we deserve every good thing. Trans youth in this state deserve every good thing that any other youth gets to have. Deserve to grow up and to grow old and to experience life and to travel and to go after your dreams or whatever. And I know, and I just say that seems silly maybe, but I say that because over and over and over and over again, the message that we're being told, and our trans youth especially are being told, is no. No to all of those things, and that's absolute bullshit. You deserve every good thing this world has to offer you. And that's all I know.
Okay, I lied. I said that was the last question, but I remembered about a few questions I have in my pocket that I wanted to cover. One of them, I really just want to be clear that the Scrimeti ruling and the current law in Idaho right now, as it pertains to gender-affirming care for youth, bans 3 specific things: puberty blockers, hormones, and surgery. It does not ban any type of mental health counseling or any other type of, like, really gender-affirming care, right? You still have the right to express yourself. You still have the right to wear your hair the way you want to. You still have the right to go to a professional and ask for help, and they can still help you. What is banned here is just puberty blockers, hormones, and surgery for those under 18. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I got a question from the audience, and shout out to whoever gave me this question because it's great. I won't pull it out of my pocket and read it. But the question was really like, what is the advice for trans folks getting their passports right now? And this is something that updates on this case came right before the Scrimeti ruling, so I want to make sure that we talk about it here. So most of y'all know in January when Trump took office, he signed an executive order that changed how trans folks can get their passports, right? There was a resulting lawsuit, and an injunction was issued for the plaintiffs of that lawsuit, meaning that for those plaintiffs, they could update their passports with their correct gender marker. Recently, last week, the day before the Scrimeti ruling, we got what's called class cert in that lawsuit, meaning that now the injunction or the temporary block applies to all trans people in the U.S. So that being said, if you need a passport, if you need your passport updated, if your passport expires in the next 3.5 years, you have, in this next administration, or this current administration, sorry, you have an opportunity to do that right now. And it is a reversal of the executive order. So my advice to all of you is please do that. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. And we have, thanks to some awesome lawyers, have an opportunity to get those things updated right now. Yes?
If folks have already got their passport renewed within the last couple months and it has the wrong gender marker, can they change it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you were issued a passport that has the incorrect gender marker, you do have an opportunity to get it reissued and have that changed now. Great questions. Thank you. Okay. Let's give it up for our panelists here. Thank you all so much. We are going to wrap up. If you did not get your hands on that trans flag yet, please go do so. We still have the paint set up and all of that, so